Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Coach Candy with Coffee Chats. Welcome, everyone. It is Monday, y'all. Hope you had a great weekend and you are ready to hit it again this week. Hit it strong, get your groove going. Good morning, Deborah. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Hope you did some rest and recharge. And good morning, Paul. And you're ready to rock and roll for this week. So how was everybody's weekend? Give everybody a chance here to jump on, and then we're going to rock and roll this morning. So just curious, how was everybody's weekend? Did y'all have a good time? Do anything exciting? Mine was pretty chill, which was nice. I got really absorbed in a book that was a game changer for me. Good morning, Preston. So yeah, I love when that happens. I love when I can kind of isolate in my little bubble and I find something that just feeds my soul, and I can't put it down and want to learn, and it's one of those spaces that kind of lights me up. So that was kind of the weekend I had this weekend. Let's see, Paul, good morning. Just back from 4 days in SLC. Where is SLC? My brain isn't working. With 300 like-minded, wonderful people. Oh, that's awesome. So you were at an event. Excellent. Fantastic. I'm glad your weekend was as filling. Good morning, Herbie. How's everyone doing? It is Monday, everybody. Woohoo! Get excited about that for sure. We're going to jumpstart this week with getting into some of our stories a little bit and learning how to fall in love with them. It was interesting, the book I read this weekend, Rest this weekend. Yes, I did too. It was awesome. Love that. Oh, Salt Lake City. Man, that took me. I don't know if I would have gotten there, Paul. So thank you. That's awesome. Actually, I love Salt Lake City. It's a really pretty city. So good. I'm glad you had such a great event there. Such a great time. I hope the rest of you did things to either fill your soul or rest, which also fills your soul. But today I want to talk about how to fall in love with your story. It was interesting. The book I read this weekend, and I have to recommend it. It was incredibly powerful. It's called Money, A Love Story by Kate Northrup, and a powerful, powerful way. Good morning, Yvette. Resting, cleaning the house. Perfect. Good morning from Nashville. Oh, you're in Nashville this morning. Excellent. Another one of my favorite cities. But yeah, this book was really powerful in terms of good morning. I love it. Good. No, I'm just making fun of you. That's awesome. Good morning, John. And so I want you to think about, oh, that's awesome. How's your dad doing, Yvette? Good morning, everyone. Wow, some new people jumping on. Awesome. All right, so let's get rock and rolling on this Monday. Hope everybody, like I said, is doing well. Hope you had a weekend that was full of rest and recovery and things to fill your cup. And like I said, I spent this weekend, I had a, hello, howdy. I had a, there's times that things just land in your lap, right? You get what you need when you need the message. And it was really interesting because I saw a friend of mine post in another group when someone was asking, what's a really good resource around your own self-worth, around self-love, around really being able to step into your power. And I was surprised at my friend's response when she wrote Money, A Love Story by Kate Northrup. And I was like, okay, that's, I don't know, my initial mindset was kind of like, that's a little weird. But something about it, or I should say, and something about it drew me in. I was like, all right, I trust this friend. I haven't heard that book before. And something about it got me very curious. And I found myself buying it immediately, which is what I do when something drops in and it inspires me. It's that response to act. And so I got it and dug into it. I started reading it Saturday morning and truly immersed myself in it this weekend. It was incredible. And it took me about a day and a half because I did the exercises. I was really digging in. I took about 17 pages of notes. And one of the things I really liked about where the whole premise of the book starts. And so there's a lot, and as you know, we've talked a lot about this. There's a direct connection between what you're bringing in, how your relationship with money and your relationship with your own self-worth, how you value yourself. Oftentimes people aren't valuing themselves enough, so they're not charging enough, they're not asking the right questions, they're not seeking out those people that can actually help raise the bar out of fear, out of the monkey mind, out of the stories that you're telling yourselves. And so what was interesting about this is exactly what this got into, right? And it got into it from a non-academic way. It actually was a more applicable and spiritual way. So it brought those two pieces together, found it incredibly powerful. And y'all know I read a book a week, right? And for me to get out there and be like, this is one of the best money books I've read, because it brings a different perspective. And for those of you that I've, talked to, and we've gone through a lot of different money books, we've gone through a lot of different ways to look at abundance, prosperity, wealth. Even those of you that are in the Yes Monthly group, we've talked about what that looks like. How do we define those words, right? Wealth, prosperity, riches, money, those different things. And every one of us has some different connotation. We even got into that last week when we were talking about satisfied versus fulfilled, right? So what was interesting about this is it brings these two frames together in a way that is really powerful, because what it does is it has you get into your stories. And one of the things I loved about the message of this book was, how do you fall in love with your story? There's so many times that we don't even realize, and we've done a lot of this kind of conversation on these calls here in the morning. We've talked about our stories and the noise and the things that are getting in the way. And sometimes we don't know what we're still holding on to that might be still putting us in a victim mentality versus one of a heroine or a hero. And so one of the things is we've got to really get into a space to think about how to feel it so that we can heal it, right? And it's that space of being able to lean in and get into the story itself. And Brene Brown talks a lot about what's the story I'm telling myself. And what happens is oftentimes trauma that we've experienced, oftentimes abuse, oftentimes different things. While the incident themselves is pretty horrific, it's the story that we keep telling ourselves and the energy and the emotion we put behind it, right? And so when you think about what is your story, how do you start to fall in love with that? And so some of the practical ways that she was talking about stepping in and falling in love with your story was, one, get in agreement with what's happening with your life right now in the here and now. So start to really be able to be in a space to see it, to open up a space to say, what's the truth in this moment, and create an agreement about what's going on right now for me. What's going on in my life, right? What's going on that I'm responsible for? What's going on instead of that space, and we've talked about this before as well, instead of getting in that space where we're either blaming. So if you're still holding on to blame for your parents around things, or society, or your teachers, or your friends, or your environment, or your culture, or your school, or whatever it is, if there's still a space where there's blame, know that that's still a space that you're holding yourself victim and not standing in a space to take responsibility, to step forward and feel that empowerment, because you're allowing it to be something outside yourself. Same thing if you're in that space where you're constantly rationalizing or justifying, good morning, Shirley, or making up some kind of story around it, right? You're trying to explain it. You're trying to, justify it away. It's another one of those things, because you're not stepping into a space to take that full responsibility, to take in, okay, what does that really mean for me, right? And then the other one is the complaining space. And as T. Harv Eker always says, if you're complaining, all you become is a magnet. You become the crap magnet for all things to come down to you, right? You're a living, breathing crap magnet when you find yourself complaining, because you're attracting those things to you. And so it's an opportunity for you to really get into the here and now and take ownership of what's yours to take ownership with. It's also to let go of some of the other stuff that you told yourself a story around, because one of the things we need to get into when we get into our story is, what's our ledge, or what's the security blanket we're still holding onto inside of that story. And so, for example, it might be, well, I'm still letting so-and-so take care of my finances, or I'm still letting so-and-so take care of this, or I'm just going to avoid it, and therefore it'll just go away. If I don't put any energy on it, it's not there. And what that does is that creates this ledge, that creates this space where it actually is like that upper limit. It's holding you back. It's a space where it's like, you're not seeing the truth, which means you can't get into the story and feel it. And so when you start to get in agreement with yourself about what you own, what you're responsible for, you start to go down a path where you can truly fall in love with your story. And it's the notion of what, Tony Robbins always says, is life is not happening to you. Life is happening. Yes, I don't want to be a crap magnet either, right? Who wants to be a living, breathing crap magnet? Raise your hand. Say I. How many of you are like, no, I think I want to be something more than a living, breathing crap magnet? Exactly. And so I want you to think about this idea of being able to really get in and understand that life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. And it's that space of what can I pull from this that is the opportunity for me to grow. And I love one of the quotes that she had in there where she said, youthful enthusiasm is such a blessing. It can guide you down that path your soul requires to grow. And think about some of those dumb mistakes you've made, some of those things that maybe you've done financially, because obviously this book is about some of your money situation and story. And even if you're doing really well with money, I would highly recommend you read this book. Like I said, it's incredibly powerful. And I feel like for those of you that have read like T. Harv Eker's Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and you've read The Energy of Money, some of the books that I've recommended to my peeps, it brings those together and it takes it to like another level. It's more conversational. It's more getting you into some very practical, applicable ways to lean into your story and see what's going on. And if you do the exercise in it, it'll blow your mind. Plus, there's some great ways to shift the frame a little bit. And I have to think about, there was a lot of things that dropped in for me this weekend. One, I think I'm ready for it. And two, it was like, holy cow, didn't even think about how that might be getting in my way. And you know, I have money stories and things that I've been carrying with me for 46 years. And I've been doing a lot of work over, especially the last 3 years in particular, around my money stories and my attachment in that space. And what's interesting is, as much as you think you've done that story, there's always another layer. So this was really interesting for me to get into the layers, right? And so I want you to think about where your power lies, right? Your power can either be your perspective can either be your power or it can be your prison. And so when you get into that space to open that up, when you get in that space to start to say, I want to be in love with my story, you recognize that some of the choices you made, some of the blind, youthful enthusiasm where you're like, I got this, they were all opportunities for you to learn. They're all opportunities for you to move forward in a way to feed your soul. And so life is happening for you at every turn. And the thing that I love about this space too was it didn't get you into a place to self-deprecate, to think about how stupid I've been with money, or man, I can't believe I overspent on that, or I want to judge and criticize myself. What it does is it gives you the opportunity to take responsibility. And there's an incredible empowerment when you stand up and you say, this is the reality and this is what I'm going to choose to do differently now that I have awareness. And so there's a lot around gaining the awareness of stepping in, because most people, it's amazing how many people are afraid to talk about money, look at their money, know their money. And I mean, even some of the questions, she has a money love quiz at the beginning of the book, which was like eye-opening. And I have to say, I scored better than I thought I would do, and yet my score still isn't where I want it to be. And but it asks questions like, do you know how much money you have within like $100? Do you know what you made last week or what you spent last week within $100? Do you know these things that if you're really mindful and if you're in a space to truly have a relationship with your money, just like anything else, it requires nurturing, it requires attention, it requires appreciation and gratitude, like any other relationship in your life. Do you know it? Do you know its needs? Do you know how it functions? Because I love when she even talked about money's not real, right? Money is just this system that we created as humans for an exchange of value. Money of it in and of itself means nothing whatsoever. It's actually absolutely arbitrary. And so I want you to think about how to step into a space to understand your life and the hardships that you've faced so that you can recognize what's opened up for you. What's the opportunity? And it requires you getting in the space to be really aware about what's going on in your life, around what you're bringing forth to you, around what you're allowing to happen and not taking responsibility for. And whether it's your money, whether it's your love life, whether it's anything that's going on, how are you creating a space to get really truthful, to get really wide open, to be aware, and to create that love story with whatever that space is. And the ultimate bottom line, I guess, if you want to call it that, is that it's all about falling in love with yourself first. And it's all about you knowing your own worth and your own value and being able to step into a space to say, I don't have to wait for X in order to be happy. I don't have to have all my financial stuff figured out before I can truly step forward and share my gifts. I don't have to be, X, Y, and Z before I do something else. It's a matter of reclaiming that for yourself right now and standing in a space. And so I get really kind of excited for a Monday morning to get you all fired up to think about how you're going to fall in love with not only, your stories, but fall in love with yourself this week. And so I'm curious, thoughts or questions as I'm kind of just like getting all ramped up on a Monday morning. I also want you, as some of you might be weighing in or thinking about someone I just talked about, I want to let you know that the Facebook Lives are, in fact, going to move time spots. I am trying to create a space where my friends in the West Coast and Mountain Time and some of my friends across the pond can join us. And this time does not work for so many people because think about it right now, 7:30 in the morning is 5:30 in San Diego. And so, and it's, I forget what time it is across the pond. So what I'm going to do is, and we're going to try this on a little bit, and I'm going to start tomorrow. We are going to shift this to 9 a.m. Central Time so that we can give more people an opportunity to join in on the conversation. I know that might throw a wrench in some of your routines, and my apologies for that. And trying to be more accessible to more people who want to be engaged in a conversation. I've had several requests for people saying, oh, if you had this later, I would so jump in. I love what the conversation is. I feel like I don't get to participate. So I need to mow your grass instead of paying my little guy. There you go, sure. And actually, no, Shirley, I love that. And the thing is sometimes, it's about playing to your highest and best value and delegating things out and having someone else paying someone else to do something for you. If it serves a purpose. And so there's a whole way to get into that, take responsibility, to ask yourself, is it allowing me time to do something else that's, one, filling my heart, letting me stand in my gifts, or bringing more money to me than what I'm putting out? I am always a fan of, if you can delegate it out and pay someone else to do something for you that's $50 or less, and you can go out and make 3, 5, 10x that in the same amount of time, by all means, delegate that out. That's a really good use of your money. Yes, and I understand that 7:30 was perfect for many of you. And so I do apologize. I know we've gotten into a rhythm. I mean, we're on episode 90 here. And so I'm going to see if it works. We may be back at 7:30. It depends. I've just had a lot of feedback that, again, I try to take what everybody says, and I try to look at the majority so that I can serve as many people as possible. And so I do apologize if 9 is a problem for everyone. I've gone back and forth on a couple different times. I may even ask some questions with all of you that are here, because you are the people that show up on a regular basis. I've looked at 9 o'clock. I've looked at 11 o'clock, I've looked at 12 o'clock, I've looked at 1, over the lunch hour, trying to find a space that works for the majority of people. Because like I said, unfortunately for people in the Mountain and Pacific Time and even across the pond, this is like 5:30. This is, 12 o'clock at night, across the midnight, across the pond, and it doesn't allow for other people to kind of jump in, or I guess I said that the other way, I forget which way, whatever direction. It's not allowing other people to join us. And so right now this serves Central Time really well, and even some of you on the East Coast. So if I'm just curious, does that lunch hour, good morning, Christine, does lunchtime or mid-morning work better, or are there preferences? Because I'm going to try a couple different things. The other thing is I may change the rhythm of not doing a Facebook Live every day, but doing it a couple times a week instead, just because of things that are building and momentum that's moving. It is also getting difficult to be here every day. So we might do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or might do something different. Playing around with some things right now, as like I said, trying to serve more people that want to be engaged in this conversation. And so I want people that want to be part of this conversation. I want to provide access every way I can. And so for right now, that's why I'm going to we're going to test to see if 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time, which is 10 Eastern and 7 o'clock. It's still early on the West Coast. 7 o'clock Pacific time. See if that works. If it doesn't, then maybe I'll move it to more of a lunchtime afternoon, because that's feeling like that might work as well. People can take a break on their lunch hour. Again, trying to feel this out. I know we're on episode 90 right now, and it's been amazing. And you know, I've kind of gotten in a routine of being here, so I'm here at 7:30. And like I said, there's a lot of people that can't be part of this conversation. And so I don't want to feel like I'm leaving people out when, you know, 5:30 is a lot to ask for people to show up on a Facebook Live. And so just want to feel that out with you guys. If you have thoughts, please let me know. We're going to try that out. But I think starting tomorrow, we're going to try 9 a.m., see how that fits, see how that feels, and then we'll take it from there. Like I said, I might move it to the lunch hour. What I might do is actually look at a couple different times and not do it as a set time every week, but maybe do a time on Monday, a time on Wednesday, and a time on Friday. That way we can address more people. I don't know. Feeling this out as we go. But love all of you and love all of you being here. So I don't want to lose those of you that are here for this conversation. So I do want to know if there's thoughts or ways that we can make this work. In the meantime, as we're feeling into some different things, and so again, if it doesn't work, we might be back here. I want you to think about ways that you can fall in love with your story this week. I want you to think about ways that you can get into an agreement around things that have been happening in the here and now, how to have that awareness, how life is happening for you, not to you, and where you want to take responsibility in that path. And so I want you to think about where and how you can dig into that this week as you start a brand new week, as you're going out there, being more intentional, being more purposeful, and showing up in your light and your gifts. And so with that, everyone, I hope you have a fantastic Monday. Let me know your thoughts on kind of the time change. I'm getting mixed, things. We'll figure it out. We'll see what works, and hopefully we can get more people on together, having an even bigger conversation. So with that, everybody, I love you deeply. Make it a magnificent and powerful Monday, and I will catch up with all of you. We will try for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Let's see how that rolls, and then we'll take it from there. Bye, everyone.